Today we're building the Razor Crest from the Mandalorian. And we've got some satisfying cracks. Now there'll be links in the description below if you want to go 3D print this yourself. It's an absolutely wonderful model, I can tell you that right now before we get into it. But there's a few complicated parts as we build. There's also going to be a non-commentary version of this video if you want something with just some background music and watch the build rather than have me, of course, talking throughout it. There's going to be that version up as well, if need be. Now this is a snap together model, so you can put it together mostly without glue. There's only a few parts that need glue. However, I decided to glue the whole thing. I just wanted better seams between everything, preferably. So I decided to do some gluing. And I did have a few issues with the clip-in areas. Like for this, for instance, I could not get it to like properly clip in. I ended up having to clamp this, and that solved my problem. But that could honestly be just my, of course, print settings. I think the model itself is pretty much perfect, and I think it's just down to me with my newbie kind of print settings when it comes to building stuff. I also do a lot of lightning infill and stuff, which means snapping stuff like this together probably isn't as easy because there's no infill to kind of push on. Whereas if I did go for like a cubic infill, it'd probably be a lot better. But that was the engines put together, and now we're putting part of the body together. And this is pretty awesome. So you got to put the side pieces in first. So make sure you do that if you decide to build this. Then that bottom piece snaps inside, and this piece prints as just one piece and folds up. It's pretty awesome. And then we have our base basically for the rest of our stuff to get added on. And these are the wings and the very top of the actual craft itself. Of course, this is the original Mandalorian bounty hunter ship, and it's a pity that, of course, it didn't make it. Spoilers. And it was replaced by a fighter, and I gotta say, prefer this thing much better. But you can see here we're going to snap on the top part as well, and this will allow us to have our kind of base structure, which everything else is then going to attach to. And again, I went and clamped this to make sure we got good seals with the glue. And then we got the top part here, and this, just listen to how good this goes on. Yeah, so that's perfect. That's what you should kind of be getting for most of these parts here, and it should go in pretty solid. Then we've also got the front as well, which is going to fit on. And we've already got most of our actual Razor Crest, and it's looking exceptional right now. Now, this is by far one of my favorite ones by the end of it. Like, I'm super happy with the paint job and everything. Anyway, we should talk about what we're doing now. So this is stuff like the landing gear now. So these get glued up and folded over on themselves. So quite a smart print, and you end up with your full landing gear legs. There's also alternative prints here. So when you do download this, you don't have to print everything because there's a few pieces you can print that act as like blocks that you put into the holes where the landing gear is going to fit. So if you want this to be in flight configuration, then you can install them instead of the landing gear. But I want this on display. So my plan is to fit the actual landing gear on as well. You can also see that I've given the whole thing a paint job, and it's looking rather good. And then I'm going to be fixing up the landing gear. And I've got my two different silvers here. So all the parts that are connecting to each other have been sprayed with two different kinds of paint. So we've got an iron style paint, and we've got more of a gunmetal paint. And that way we end up with hopefully a little bit of a difference between the different parts, and make it look a little bit more like it's a well-used spacecraft by, of course, a bounty hunter. And of course, I'm not going for a mirror finish with this. As long as it's a little bit shiny, that's good enough for me. So you can see I'm gluing the skids on right now for the landing gear, but not the actual landing gear to the craft, so we can take them up and continue to build. So here is now the part that is going to really start to bring this together, and that is the engines. So these just snap on, and they go on extremely well. Without glue, these would still be held on really, really good. And it is 100% starting to look like the Razor Crest, and it is beautiful. Of course, I've not seen this vessel since its destruction, and having it here in person now, being able to see all of its shapes and its features is great. And these are the air brakes that are articulated. Now I'm going to have this in landing configuration, so we don't really need air brakes for this, but great to have them. And of course, if you wanted to have this in flight configuration with the air brakes out, you totally could. You've also got the rear hatch here. So that's again fully articulated, which is lovely. And that means you can either have it closed or open, and it just stays there, doesn't fall down or anything like that. Very, very well designed by the original designer of this model. We've also got the side doors here. So they've got a piece that is printed as one, which is the base and the two doors. And then you just snap it in place and then boom, you've got two doors. And very freaking cool, they stay in as well. Then we've also got the guns. So you've seen us folding them earlier. They're printed as one flat piece that you fold over and put together. And of course you just fit them to either side. I'll give you a bit tight on the print here, but with a little bit of force I was able to get these in, no problem. Maybe we should have actually cleaned them up a little bit more, but other than that, they went great. Now we're also fitting the landing gear, which of course I've now sprayed up and make them look the right color. And overall, it is really starting to come together. Now there's a few additional parts here that you can print off. So if you want, you can have the doors open and you can have little ramps that come out. So again, if you're printing this yourself, you don't need to print those off unless you plan on having this in a setup where you're going to have the doors open and the ramps out. Next up is the windows. So as you can see here, we have some actual gaps and we print off black pieces and then simply just glue them into place, and that gives you a nice contrast for the windows. So this was an absolute dream to spray paint this, because of course we just had to spray paint it silver, and then I came in with a couple of different colors of silver as well to change up some of the plates to give it a bit more texture. But then of course never once had to worry about the windows, because we're just going to install them after the paint job is done. And yeah, it looks insane. I'm extremely happy with this. I think the reflectivity on this thing is good enough. Of course, it's not a mirror finish, but it's perfect for what I want. Here is the ramp, or just showing you what the ramps look like. So you got the doors that come down and the ramps can then fit in. So if you want, of course, you can have that as an addition that makes it look cool when it is landed. But I am going to go for all closed configuration, but landing gear out. You've also got the hatch at the back here, which I didn't realize if you press at the bottom of it, you can actually open it very easily. And that will also stay in place. So yeah, love it. The whole thing looks gorgeous. The engines with the air brakes look incredible. And it's just a wonderful designed piece. And I love the original craft, but also the designer here who made this has done a very, very good job of making it look sensational and quite honestly easy to put together. Like I say, you can put this together with mostly no glue if you want to. It is a snap together model. And I only did the glue just because I wanted to try and get a few less overall seams. But yeah, look at it. It's absolutely amazing. I'm so happy with this. One of my favorite creations so far. Now, if you're enjoying all this stuff, feel free to like and subscribe. My own videos here are only getting a few hundred views. So if you do enjoy them, let me know in the comments below. But I am extremely happy with this. This continues my love with 3D printing and finding all these models out there, especially stuff like this that's completely free to actually print off. It is a sensational experience to do all this, and right now I'm going to end up with an absolutely crazy amount of models that I've now made, which has gone from pretty much zero to like hundreds now, which is just incredible, and yeah, looks so good. Thanks for watching. Catch you next time.